Hi boys and girls. It is time for our social studies and our Native Americans. Yesterday we had some review, and so today we're starting on a new tribe of Indians, and we're going to read a story. I think it's going to be a really fun one, but first we're just going to talk about a couple of things that are going to be in our story so we know what they are. Do we know what this is a picture of? They are clams. They're a type of a shellfish that live in the ocean, and you can eat clams. So if any of you have ever eaten clams before, ask your parents, have they eaten clams? And our Native American tribe is going to be in a new location. I have to switch our book real quick. So the Lakota Sioux that we were talking about, they lived in the Great Plains, and they were kind of through this middle part of the country. Our tribe today, if you can see the green all the way over here on the east side of the United States, they're way up here, and they are in the states of Rhode Island and Massachusetts. Rhode Island is this tiny state, and Massachusetts is right above it. We are right here in Gooding, Idaho, right about here, and they are way over here, so it's the other side of the country. Okay, but let's get started on our story. And the title of our story, it's a legend. It is called Bear, Gull, and Crow. All right, get comfy. Let's begin. We see a picture of our bear, a gull, a seagull, and a crow, a black crow. All right. Long ago, there were 3 animal friends who lived in a land of wild forest, green fields, and shining waters. Gull made her home in the marsh near the bay. Bear lived in a cave deep in the woods, and the crow had a nest in an old oak tree at the edge of the garden. Bear, Gull, and Crow often got together to visit and chat. One of the things that they talked about was the upright walkers, beings who lived nearby. These beings called themselves the Wampanoags, and that was the name of their tribe. But the animals called them the upright walkers because they walked upright on 2 legs all the time, and they never flew. Just like us, we are upright walkers, and we don't fly on our own. The upright walkers lived in a house that they called a wetu, built from bent saplings and tree bark. They could make fire just as lightning did when it struck a tree. They grew corn from kernels planted in small earth hills. These kernels were sweet, crunchy nuggets that Crow loved to steal. They fished in the bay using nets, spears, hooks, and lines. The upright walkers also hunted in the forest with bows and arrows, so Bear was always very careful to keep his distance. Well, one day, Gull said to Bear and Crow, "Today I saw some upright walkers wading in the bay." Wading is just walking through the water, like kind of up to your knees, not swimming. There was a man and a boy, and they lifted many smooth rocks from the water and carried them into the forest. They said that the rocks were the Apahnewaag. I wonder what the Apahnewaag is. Crow thought for a minute. An Apahnewaag must be an animal, he said, an animal that eats rocks. Can there be an animal bigger than I am? Said Bear. I want to see this animal. Tomorrow I will go spy on the Apahnewaag. The next day, Bear found the pile of stones. There's Bear, and he sees this pile of stones that they're making, and he hid behind the trees and waited. Before long, the upright walkers came, and they dug a very shallow hole in the ground. Then they carefully laid the rocks into it and went away. Bear waited and waited, but the Apahnewaag did not come to eat the rocks. Tired of waiting, Bear went to tell Gull and Crow what had happened. The upright walkers dug a hole and filled it with rocks, but the Apahnewaag did not come. "Leave it to me," said Crow. "Tomorrow I will figure out what's going on." The next day, Crow perched in a tree near the rock pit. There he is. Soon the upright walkers returned. They collected lots of dry wood and piled it next to the pit. Crow flew hurriedly to find Bear and Gull. The upright walkers collected wood. They are going to build a wetu for the Apanawag, said the crow. The Apanawag will live in our forest in its own wooden house. He thought for a moment. But what if it's not a friendly Apanawag? Bear and Gull looked worried. I think I would be afraid of a rock-eating animal. The next morning at sunrise, Gull was winging over the bay. She was flying with her wings. She saw the upright walker man and boy on the beach. There was a girl with them too. Low tide had uncovered some wet sand that had been underwater at high tide. The upright walkers were looking for holes in the wet sand. From time to time, water shot up from these holes, and they were breathing holes for soft-shelled clams, like we saw in the picture in the beginning, that lived under the sand. Gull watched as the upright walkers dug the clams out with long sticks, and some clams spit water, even after they were dug up. So soon the upright walkers had filled a large basket with clams, and they waded into the shallow water and filled another bucket filled with larger clams. Later on, Gull told Bear excitedly, the upright walkers collected many clams. They said that they were glad to have found so many clams for the Apanawag. I hope the Apanawag does not eat up all the clams and fish in the bay. Gull went on. Next, those upright walkers gathered the rockweed that grows on the rocks in the shallow water. The Apanawag is going to eat the rockweed too, said the bear. What will it decide to eat next? Bear looked around. Where is Crow? Wasn't he supposed to meet us here? Do you think Apanawags eat crows? No sooner had Bear spoken than he saw Crow flying toward them. I saw the upright walkers in the cornfield, exclaimed Crow. They picked baskets full of corn. They said it was for the Apanawag today. The Apanawag is coming today. Bear, Gull, and Crow looked at each other. There they are picking their corn. There's Crow. They all went to the forest. Let's go, said Bear, lickety-split, and they set off for the rock pit. There they hid among the trees. Before long, some upright walkers started to gather. Then more and more came. There were men, women, and children, big and small and old and young. The upright walkers took the dry wood from its pile and laid it over the stones. One man started the wood burning. Others stayed by the fire and kept it going. They raked burning wood so hot that hot ashes fell into the cracks between the rocks. Soon, the ashes covered the rocks, heating them up. So does it sound like they're making a fire pit, maybe? The upright walkers laid rockweed over the ashes. Steam rising from the damp rockweed gave off a sharp smell of salt because it came out of salt water, the ocean. The upright walkers placed heaps of clams on top of the rockweed together with lobsters, corn, and potatoes. Does it sound delicious? When all of the food was loaded on, they covered it with more rockweed. Bear, Crow, and Gull sniffed the mouth-watering aromas of the food cooking. Now everyone fell silent as a very old upright walker stepped forward and said a prayer to the Great Spirit. He thanked the Great Spirit for animals, plants, rocks, and trees. The other upright walkers joined hands in a circle and stood in silence. Then, as a flute and drum sounded, the upright walkers began to dance. When the dancing had ended, the old upright walker spoke again. This is a fine day for Apanawag. The Apanawag is a celebration, a time for our people to come together and to give thanks to the Great Spirit and to feast on delicious food. So let the feasting begin. The rockweed covering was lifted off, and the upright walkers began to load their bowls with food. Bear, Gull, and Crow looked at one another. The Apanawag was not a huge rock-eating animal with big white teeth after all. An Apanawag was a celebration, where the upright walkers had a clam-bake feast. A mouth-watering, nose-tickling feast. How they wished they could leap out from their hiding place and join in. But what would the upright walkers think of having uninvited guests? And just then, a girl walked toward their hiding place. carrying a bowl piled high with food. It was the girl that Gull had seen digging in the sand for clams. The girl laid the bowl on the ground, and before running back to join the other upright walkers, she called out, "The birds and animals who share the forest and the bay with us Wampanoags, may you enjoy sharing our Apanawag, our clam bake feast." And that is just what Bear, Gull, and Crow did. Oh, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed the story. We are now going to get out our worksheets. We'll go over them very quickly. We'll ask a couple questions. Miss Barrett's going to pull your sticks. Let's put our worksheet right up here. The directions say, make a list of the items that were in the clam bake at the Apanawag in the story. All right, Miss Barrett, do you want to pull sticks? We're going to list the 4 foods that they ate.
Okay.
Do we remember what they ate?
I do. It sounded delicious, actually.
Okay, who was our first?
Kendra.
Kendra, can you tell me something that they ate at the Apanawag? I remember the first thing, they were clams. I hope maybe you said clams. And we're going to write clams on the line, and then you can draw a picture of it right here in the box. Okay.
Ezra.
All right, Ezra. Do you remember another kind of food that we talked about that they said that they had? I remember they said that they had lobster. Do you remember that?
I do remember the lobster.
Okay. So, Ezra, maybe you said lobster. Maybe you said clams. Clams, lobster, and
Dennis.
Dennis. Do you remember another food they said that they had? We had a picture of it. They were picking it in the field. Miss Barrett, do you remember what it was?
I do remember it was corn.
Corn. Clam, lobster, corn, and we had one more thing.
Carter.
Okay, Carter, did you hear what that one other thing was? There's clam, lobster, corn, and dig them up from the ground, potatoes. So I'm going to write potatoes. You guys can draw the pictures, and you guys can draw pictures of those foods. Have fun drawing the pictures of your food, and they don't have to be in this order. They can be in any order that you want. All right, boys and girls. See you soon.